How do you improve your photography skills? I'm sure that is a question that you've asked yourself many times before, and I'm here today to help you discover the keys that are going to unlock your potential, not through lenses, not through equipment, but learning to see, to see the world in a unique way that is truly yours. We develop set ideas about images from a really early age. It's in the way that we see the world. You know, our parents show us things. We live in a city or we live in a rural area. Our culture that we live in, all of these things are imprinted into us and teach us how we are supposed to interpret and see the world. The very first photo that I ever took, you know, picking up that camera was fueled by everything that I had seen, and it was fueled by me asking people what I was supposed to photograph. You know, what had I been taught? You know, my dad was a very keen amateur photographer, and he showed me how to use the camera, and he taught me some basic rules. And those rules were enough for me to be channeled into ways of behaving with a camera that certainly in the early days really inhibited my images and restricted my growth as a photographer. I was fortunate enough that I went and studied photography at a tertiary level after school, and it was there that I did learn from others, and I began to learn from myself and to learn to see for myself. And this is what you're going to discover through this course of short videos, is the way that you can teach your mind to see. Using these rules as guidelines is beneficial, but don't become a slave to them. Don't photograph what interests others unless it also interests you. This is a big danger that a lot of photographers, I think, make these days, is that they go onto Instagram and they see what is popular, what's got a lot of likes, what's got a lot of repins or you know, sort of shares, and they think that's what you need to photograph to be popular, for want of a better word. And it's not about being popular. It's about being true to yourself, because every photograph that you make is a self-portrait of who you are inside. And I want you to photograph what inspires you, what interests you, not what you think is going to get you the most likes on Instagram, or that you need to photograph a certain subject because everybody else seems to be doing it. A project that you can do right now that's going to improve your photography no end is to photograph just one subject. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it interests you, doesn't matter what it is. But try and photograph that object in as many different ways as you can conceivably think of. Photograph it in focus, out of focus, upside down, jump about. Photograph it over your shoulder looking through a mirror. See if you can get a reflection of it. Photograph it through a pair of socks. Just think outside the box. See how many creative and unusual ways that you can photograph this object. This is a really good skill that's going to teach you to explore and find the infinite varied possibilities within anything that's in front of you. It will help you to see where beauty really lies. And I know it sounds like a trite expression, but it does lie in the eye of the beholder. And whatever you see can be beautiful if it's beautiful to you. Look at Edward Weston's bedpan photograph. It's just a bedpan. But to Edward Weston, it was beautiful. Irving Penn's cigarette butts. You know, you may look at that, you may be a vehement anti-smoker and go, oh my God, that's disgusting. But to Irving Penn, it was interesting, and he made something that he felt was beautiful. Pete Turner, he saw this rubbish bin, and he was struck by its simplicity and the colors and the beauty within something that most of us probably never give a second thought, and probably walk past, certainly if you live in a city, many times a day with not even noticing it. What is a suitable subject for a photograph? Well, anything that you photograph is a subject, and anything can be photographed. So you can see there isn't a right or a wrong thing. There's just whatever you want to photograph. We all have these sort of preconceived ideas about how to photograph something. And this is, again, it's coming from all these things that we see around us, you know, and it ends up loosely called photographing something properly. And in the early days, we get taught that there are certain rules that you need to follow. You know, have everything in focus, have it unobscured so you can see the subject properly. It must be correctly exposed, of course, whatever correctly means, and it needs to be easily identifiable. These rules are all helpful, and they help you to find your feet, but as important as they are in helping you produce predictable results, the results that you create are just that. They are predictable photographs, and we don't want predictable. We photograph things, certainly initially, as we think we should see them. We photograph the tree so it looks like a tree. We photograph the car so it looks like a car. But imagine how that tree could look. Imagine how the car could look. Think about Jacques-Henri Lartigue and the way that he saw a car. That isn't the same way that the car we imagined initially looked. I want you to keep imagining. Imagine how things can look, how they can look without the constraints that we put on them with these shackles that we've grown up with. I certainly don't want you to photograph things in a way that you think will please others, like I said earlier. Photograph in a way that will please yourself. If you don't like it, or if people consider it a failure, then embrace that failure. It's okay. It's a sign that you are growing, that you are striving and learning. It's a sign that you are shattering your assumptions about what a photograph should be like. And I want us to banish that word from our vocabulary, that should. Nothing should be a certain way. Your photographs are uniquely you. And if you practice this every day, just looking, seeing, being aware of the possibilities, challenging these preconceptions, you are going to start seeing the world in a new way that's going to make your photographs just sing.